under Colorado Revised Statute 24-6-402, parentheses 4, parentheses B, legal advice board to conference with an attorney for the purpose of receiving a legal advice on specific matters. I need a motion for an executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Can we have roll call, Monica, please?
Mr. Dryling?
Aye.
Mr. Archuleta?
Aye.
Mr. Roller?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Okay, we will move into an executive session at 5:33. There's a need for a study session with Kids First Nursing Services. So, okay.
Robert Frantimallen, Director of Student Services, and I guess I'm just here to answer your questions that you have regarding Kids First Nursing Services.
Did somebody request Kids First?
Question, but I ask some questions.
Be asking for 4 registered nurses and a part-time clerk.
It's 4.3 full-time equivalency for registered nurses and 1 FTE school nursing assistant. This is the contract that we've had with Kids First for quite some time. We just want to continue those same nursing levels.
And I noticed it's for $400,000.
Yeah, so this is a 3% cost of living increase that we wanted to add on to what has been in the place in the past. Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, Kids First, what would they be doing different than the nurses that we have that's in the district now?
So we don't have any nurses currently in the district. They're employed by the by Adams 14 School District. We have always contracted, as far as I understand, since 1973, for Kids First for those school nursing services. So Kids First offers 3 services for us that we actually contract for us. One is school nursing. The other is Medicaid enrollment, and that is to actually enroll students for Medicaid so that we can then turn around and bill those students through special education. And then the third is for running the community-based health clinics that happen to be doctors' offices that are located within the schools. But this particular contract is just for school nursing. So we are required by law to have registered nurses as a part of a special education service provider on the IEP, as well as somebody who's helping us be compliant with immunizations and screenings and other health and safety related issues.
And who, reading the contract, I didn't see who would be the current supervisors for the nurses.
So because they are purchase services, they are an agency that we are contracting with. So their direct supervisor is Kids First, but I am the director of student services, and one of the departments that I oversee is the school nursing and the school health. And that includes both our health clerks, which are not a part of Kids First. That is a part of Adams 14 School District employees that we have, as well as being the manager that directs this purchase services contract with Kids First. So I would be their direct supervisor, essentially.
And just help me out. Are you a doctor of some sort in that field, a licensed doctor?
No, I am the Director of Student Services, and so Student Services includes special education, gifted, talented, the school nursing, because they are a part of a special education team, as well as mental health services as well. Now, Kids First does employ a full-time doctor, and that doctor travels between the 5 community-based health clinics, but that is a part of the community-based health clinics, not a part of the school nursing services. They're completely different services.
Right, so the doctor will oversee just the 4 nurses and the 4.3.
No, the doctor oversees the school-based health clinics, but there is usually never a doctor that oversees the nurses as a part of school nursing. So school nursing is a actual teaching license that you get through CDE, and they have very different services that we provided versus the nurses and the nurse practitioners that might be in the school-based health clinics. So traditionally, you don't have a doctor that oversees school nursing, but also school nurses cannot do the same thing that a nurse within a doctor's office can do. They cannot prescribe, they can't diagnose, they can't even put a Band-Aid on a child without permission from parents. But they do manage quite a few things, such as the health screenings, or not the health screenings, the hearing and vision screenings, making sure that we are up to date with our immunization records. Colorado requires we have 100% compliance on our immunization. They manage the health care plans for kids that come with health services needs. But if there are any medical emergencies, they are required to call 911. They don't provide those services directly.
So the question would be for the district, how much are we paying our school nurses, the district-wise?
Well, we don't have any district school nurses, so they're
But they have a budget, if I'm not mistaken, though, right?
So we have health clerks, but they are not nurses. They are actually paraprofessionals with a high school degree that works under the direction of a registered nurse, but happens to be the registered nurses for from the Kids First. So the health clerks are essentially paraprofessionals that are providing those services in the building, since there is not a full-time nurse in every single building.
So we don't have no NPs, no nurse practitioners in the district?
No.
No nurse practitioners that work in the school district, period?
We contract with 4.3 nurses from Kids First, and those are the ones that provide the services in the district. If we did not contract with Kids First, then we would have to hire 4.3 nurses to work directly for the district. So it's either a matter of contracting with Kids First, which actually is a much better deal for us because they have all of the resources and materials, the mannequins for first aid training, all of the low-cost medical costs as well too, as well as hiring our own nurses within district. Probably be about $80,000 to $90,000 per nurse, and so because Kids First is able to fundraise and raise money, they are actually able to contract with nurses at a much lower rate than we would if we had to purchase or had to hire those nurses ourselves.
Okay.
So I have one question.
Uh-huh.
So if a student uses Kids First services, do they pay anything?
To clarify, if it is a school nursing, there is no cost for the students. If they are going to the community-based health clinic, which is really a doctor's office located at our schools, currently right now, I pay $4,000 out of my Medicaid budget that covers the copay costs for all students at the high school and middle school level. So for the 4 community-based clinics that are located right now at the 2 high schools and at the 2 clinics, it is completely free for every student that wants to step into them to become a patient, because I'm able to cover the copay costs out of our Medicaid budget. Our Medicaid budget is actually revenue that's generated by students on an IEP who get speech language services, psychology services, anything that can actually be billed by Medicaid, which brings about another $1.2 million into the district.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So how many hours did these nurses work last year?
Well, they are full-time employees, 40 hours a week, 190 days or so a year, following the same schedule that our teachers would follow. And then oftentimes we ended up extending the contract so that we'd have nurses available during summer school. And then additionally, we have the nurses available on call to be available at 6 o'clock in the morning, because we have daycare that is starting at 6 o'clock in the morning all the way until 6 o'clock in the evening.
Did you go out,
Plus field trips, yeah.
did you go out and find another company for competitive bid to see if this 400,000 to 3% increase is?
No, as far as I know, there is no other company that does anything like this. I suppose we could be checking out with Denver Health. Denver Health has something very similar with Denver Public Schools. But Kids First is rather unique. So in the mid-1970s, there were only 2 community-based health clinics that were located in schools, and one of them in the entire country. And Kids First developed the first one here in Commerce City. But at that particular point, I don't know, and Sandy, I don't know if you know, if we've ever done any competitive bidding for health services. Yeah.
It's part of the community program with Kids First, and it's a partnership
Right.
for the community healthcare services.
Well, partnerships continue to change, and I'd like to see if there's any other company out there before we sign off on 400,000. If there's any company out there that can give the services that this company offers.
Well, or we just simply hire our own nurses, and we don't go through the nursing services through them.
So if I understand quickly what you said before, so the high school has a nurse, the 2 middle schools has a nurse, and then we have an extra nurse that goes for the elementary schools?
No, so let me clarify again. There's a difference between school nursing services and the community-based health clinics. So the nurses, the 4.3 nurses, are spread amongst all 14 schools. So they give so many hours or so many days a week. They may be 2 days a week at Allsup, 2 days a week at DuPont, a half day at Stars or Sandville. And so they serve all students. That's 4.3. And then they provide the directives for the health clerks within each one of the buildings in order for them to have somebody there every single day to provide that support. That's very, very typical for pretty much all school districts across the district. In Denver,
Staff?
Yeah.
Schools?
it is, right now, I think that we are very well staffed for health services. I have never been in a school district where we have a full-time health clerk in every single building. Most of the time, you're talking about a nurse that comes in 1 day a week within that building that is starting to cover the immunization records, making sure the healthcare plans are up to date, and then they would delegate medication distribution or other things to the front office secretary. So in Denver Public Schools, where I have been for the last 13 years, one of the things that I was in charge of was actually training our front office secretaries to act as health clerks in addition to all their other duties. Here in Commerce City, we have a full-time health clerk in every single building, and so we are very well.
Can't administer medicine, is that correct?
They can administer medicine after they have been trained by the school nurse, and the school nurse has to provide the directives for them to do that. Yeah. So, in my opinion, we are well staffed for nursing services and health services.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have another question. Reading the contract, it says August the 1st. And if I'm not mistaken, this is November. So how come are we bringing this contract to the board 3 months later than the school district?
Correct.
started?
So Kids First asked for a 3% increase, and we were waiting for the conclusion of the negotiations with the teachers to see that we could provide them something that was commensurate with what the teachers were getting. And so that is why there was a delay in getting the contract, as we were waiting for the teacher negotiations to come to a conclusion.
And did Kid First supply summer school for the students this summer?
Yes, they did. And so there was a separate MOU that was put together, and I believe probably was presented to the board back in July in order to be able to cover that, because that would be in addition to this particular contract. And then summer school, we never know from year to year whether we're going to have it or not, so it's something that we just add on at the end of the school year if there is some sort of summer school programming for an additional extension to the current MOU.
So where's the doctor located out of? You said there's a doctor that oversees.
Yeah, so we have, that's the community health clinic side. So there are 5 community health clinics. 4 of them are located in schools, and 1 is at the old high school. So it is, and it's been there for a long, long time. And so the doctor is actually located there at their standalone clinic. The standalone clinic is really intended for the elementary schools, since we can't put a separate clinic in each one of the elementary schools. But then that doctor can travel to any one of the clinics. And it is a full functioning doctor's office. Yeah.
Does that doctor do that? Does
Yes.
he travel to the other clinics?
Yes. Yeah.
Question. What is community health center budget?
We don't pay for anything for the community health centers. That is all run by Kids First. All they do is actually have a doctor's office, so essentially we are providing them with space in order to run those clinics. As a matter of fact, I think they just gave me some figures that they actually provide over $1.4 million in free health care services to our students in the district. That is a charitable giving that they give, but there is no cost to us at all for those health clinics. So the only thing that we have contracts for with Kids First is for the nursing services side, which is a part of the school requirements. And then we also contract for them for a Medicaid outreach and enrollment personnel who then identifies children who do not have insurance and gets them signed up for Medicaid. And then the only other piece is that we provide them with a $4,000 stipend in order to pay the co-pays for the students, so the students don't have to pay a $10 copay in order to use the community-based clinics.
So my understanding is that Kids First throughout the district, we only pay the 4.3, 400,000.
Correct. Well, we pay $405,000 is what we'd want the contract to be for this year, and then the $24,000 for the Medicaid outreach and enrollment, and then the $4,000 for covering the students' copay at the middle school and high school level. So that is the only cost that we are paying for Kids First for the services that they're turning around and providing the district. And then in turn, they run the community health clinics and essentially provide health care services to the tune of $1.4 million. They're able to do that through their own private fundraising, being a nonprofit, and they turn around as a community to the district. And again, they've been around since 1970. When I came from Denver Public Schools, we didn't have a relationship with an outside agency. We hired our own nurses, and Denver Health would come in and run the community-based health clinics. So essentially, Kids First is running a service much like Denver Health would offer in Denver Public Schools. And they do this not only for Adams 14 School District, but they're in Westminster School District, and they are expanding into Brighton as well, and Adams 12. Yeah.
And then ask Mr. Drill and say, how long would it take you to try to find another or somebody else competitive?
I'm not really sure what the process would be. I'd say probably within a week I would be able to have an idea of what other companies might be out there to provide such a service. I do my best to research it. I just don't know of anybody who probably is into the school-based nursing services. Matter of fact, I think even the state, Colorado Department of Education, say, well, if you're not going to contract with them, just hire your own nurses then. So a school nurse is actually licensed under the same license that a teacher is licensed under. So they actually would even fall under a agreement with the union as well too. But since this district has never had a school nurse, because they've always contracted with an agency, that would also have to be reviewed if that is an option that we want to go to. And I can do a cost analysis of what it would be to actually hire 5.3 nurses at the current going rate within our own contract as well too, to see if there's a comparison within prices. But then we'd have to be looking at other costs that we would have to incur if we no longer go with Kids First, such as buying mannequins for all our first aid, CPR training, the costs that would be involved to train somebody to become a first aid CPR trainer, the costs that would be involved to be able to train them, to be able to train the health clerks on how to do the immunization records. And so there's a good number of other costs that are involved that we would have to add on if we were not to use Kids First.
Department to help us out with CPR certification.
Well, it's a matter of, I mean, we have right now our bus department has certified CPR trainers as well too. But typically you want to have the nurses, because the nurses are going to be delegating people to do those services. And usually you don't have something like a fire department doesn't have the authority to delegate what the nurse can do within the school department. And if we just wanted to offer community-based CPR, that absolutely would be a fine option.
I would like to see what the difference is in cost, because 400,000 plus the 4,000 plus the 4,000, that's a lot of money.
Sure, I'd be more than happy to pull out those costs and do those comparisons.
Maybe your best thing would be to find out what the going rate is for nurses.
Yeah, so again, it's just like a teacher's salary.
And it's 90,000 a nurse, right there is 450,000.
Exactly.
So
it depends. It's just like a teacher's salary. So how long have you been in? How many years that we're going to provide you? Oftentimes they have master's degrees or even PhDs. So that I'll put you on the salary schedule plus the 20 to 30% in benefits that are on top of that. Multiplied out to the good number of nurses. I really think it's going to be very comparable
But
across the board.
you also can find registered nurses with associate's degrees. Then you can find BSN nurses with
But they have to meet the Colorado Department of Education requirements.
Right.
And so a school nurse must have a BA degree in order to get a license from the Colorado Department of Education. That is actually the requirement for anybody that has a professional teaching license.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have one question. Do these registered nurses, can they give physicals to our kids?
No, they cannot.
Okay.
So the school-based nurses cannot do that, but that is a service that we provide through the community-based health clinics. And so we provide free, through the community-based health clinics, free physicals for all the sports physicals, as well as each time a family cannot get their kids to the doctor for immunizations, then we offer all the immunizations. So at the high school right now and at the 2 middle schools, they're set up as immunization clinics as well as the standalone clinics.
Is there
as
a
well.
date set aside at, say, in the summer where all these kids, high school and middle schools, can go and get a physical for whatever minimal? Because I know if they go on their own, it's always 2 to 3 week wait and.
Right.
Yeah.
So they do have they have appointments that kids are set up to go in, fill out an appointment, get ready to go, and they've been able to get kids in even if they were at the high school, because they do it right there at the high school, right on a last minute short term notice. It's something I did ask them specifically about, and they said that they were able to get all the physicals done and completed, and to be able to support the students in a timely manner, so that they're ready to participate in sports.
excuse me, we talking about two different things. We talking about a pair is not able to give out a physical, right?
A
A
pair,
registered-
no.
But a nurse can give a physical.
So there is school nursing. School nursing cannot do physicals under the Colorado Department of Education and their license requirements. We also have the community-based health clinics. Those are the doctor's offices. They're located in the schools. That is where they can get their physicals done. And that's usually that's a nurse practitioner or a doctor or there's another personnel that is at a much higher level that is able to, a physician assistant, yeah. They are the only ones that are able to give the physicals, particularly for the sports physicals.
Any other questions?
No, I'm good.
I have one last question. Reading this thing, it says they report to whom? To you?
Yes, well,
All of the IEPs and all of that information goes
Correct.
directly to you?
correct, yeah.
Five reports.
Yeah, oh yeah, and that's, thank you, good point. So the IEPs are the individuals with educational plans, special education plans. So approximately 10% of the population is going to qualify for a special education plan, but 20% of the population has a disability. So anyone who does not qualify for special ed falls under what is called a 504 plan. And so the school nurses are going to be heavily involved in all of those development of those 504 plans, which is essentially accommodations and basic services to support students with a disability, but they don't have an educationally significant disability that qualifies for special ed. Yeah.
Any others? Okay, thank you, Barbara.
Yeah.
Do you want a 5-minute break for bathroom or anything?
No, I'm good.
You ready to go?
Yeah, get this over with.
Okay. Bring this meeting to order on Tuesday, November 22nd at, see what time? 6:40. Let's please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. And my understanding is that we lost a student that was killed in Mexico. Monica, is that true? Last week?
Yes, this week.
So a moment of silence for one of our students. Joe, stand so you can see the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can we have roll call, Monica, please?
Mr. Archuleta?
Here.
Mr. Dryling?
Here.
Mrs. Quintana?
Absent.
She's ill.
Excuse
Excused.
absent.
Mr. Rolla?
Here.
Mr. Thomas?
Here.
Okay, I need a motion for the approval of the minutes on November 9th, 2016.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, Monica?
Mr. Archuleta?
Aye.
Mr. Dryling?
Aye.
Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
I need a motion for the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, Monica?
Mr. Archuleta?
Aye.
Mr. Dryling?
Aye.
Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
I see no audience comments, is that true?
No, no.
There isn't none?
No.
Okay, moving on then. No student board, okay, going on to routine items, consent items, personnel. 1.1, I need a motion for the approval of personnel actions.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Hearing none, can we have roll call, Monica?
Mr. Achuleta?
Aye.
Mr. Gray?
Aye.
Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Moving on to personnel, 1.1, board recommendation, need a motion for the ratification of settlement agreement with former Director of Human Resources.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, can we have roll call, Monica?
Mr. Achuleta?
Aye.
Mr. Friday?
Aye.
Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Okay. Moving on to 2.0 resolution, superintendent's recommendation. Need approval for the resolution number 16.016, acceptance of fiscal year 2015-2016 audit report. And you're going to read that?
Yes. Whereas Colorado statutes require an annual audit be conducted of all funds by an independent auditor, Reuben Brown LLP, as provided this required audit, and whereas the audit report as of June 30th, 2016 is now complete, a final comprehensive annual financial report was provided to the Board of Education on November 22, 2016, and a study session scheduled on December 13, 2016, for a presentation to the Board of Education, and therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education of Adams County School District 14, State of Colorado, does hereby accept the audit report of all funds as of June 30th, 2016, as provided by Sandy Rolla, Chief Financial Operations Officer, and by Reuben Brown LLP, Independent Auditors, adopted and approved this 22nd day of November 2016.
Okay, need a motion for acceptance of the fiscal year 2015-2016 audit report.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, is there discussion? Hearing none, can we have roll call, Monica, please?
Mr. Achuleta?
Aye.
Mr. Gray?
Aye.
Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Moving on to 3.0 other. Need a motion for the approval of Kids First Nursing Services Agreement for 2016-2017 school year.
Motion to place it into abeyance until we get the information we requested?
Okay, we have a motion for the, for it to be tabled or to, until further information could be given to us.
Second.
Is there a discussion? Okay, do we have to vote on this, Monica? Can we have roll call then?
Yeah, you need to vote. Mr. Achuleta?
Aye.
Mr. Gray?
Aye.
Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Okay, and, I don't know, maybe we should have done this under discussion, but when do we want to know this by?
As soon as possible.
As soon as possible.
Okay,
And maybe we should ask the gentleman. When do you think, by the next board meeting?
but do we want to put Kids First on hold that long? Because our next board meeting's on December what, Monica?
But you have to have nursing services.
Yeah, because we need services in the
So I'm
schools.
gonna assume you're gonna continue with Kids First. 'Cause I think, Mr. Thomas, you would ask the question, why is it November as well? And so they're operating under their old contract up until this point, otherwise we wouldn't be able to have school. So I think
I have a-
that you can continue that until.
I have a question
guys are
for you,
close
Ms.
for that.
Rotella.
Yes.
Is the agreement, if I read it correctly, is it two payments? First payment for what months of, is it for this year, this calendar
It's
year?
in halves, yes.
Should we
So,
make it so we can pay for the first half and until we get a response to pay for the second half? Can
that's
we do
correct.
that?
We wouldn't pay for services we haven't received yet. So technically, we're operating off of last year's contract as an extension, even though this one is retro to August. We are still technically operating under last year's, just like we were with the teachers before that contract was ratified.
But the second payment ain't due, I believe, in January, is that correct?
Yes, not until after the holiday season, so. and-
Okay, so we're okay until
We'll still have we'll still have kid
services.
service, okay.
Okay. Moving on to communications, and I believe you have a God, I can't remember your name, I'm sorry.
Mrs. Burgos.
Virgo, okay. Ms. Virgo? Ms. Virgo is filling in for Superintendent Abrego, and so she'll bring in a expulsion.
Pursuant to board policy and Colorado revised statutes, I have the following student expulsion to read into the record. Student number 1091603.
Okay. Continue on with communication, general, just, Mr. Thomas, you said you had some things you wanted to.
Yes, Mr. Storts, can you come up, please? Since you sent us the accounts payable and the P-card transaction, my question for you is, can we get a list, the board, of about 18 months, the past 18 months, who have been using our facilities and how much they've been paying? As far as softball, any of our buildings, anything that an outside person or group or regular
Any of the facility use revenue?
revenue, and how much they paid and what the past 18 months, and we like to get that, please.
Sure.
And
We partially had that done when the music group came home last spring, so.
So, yeah, we'll get that to you.
and
Also, can you put on there, what the cost is to an outside source coming in and using our facilities? Versus, and I guess what we're trying to find out is, we have groups in our community, and I think it's policy, I'm not sure, where if 80% of the kids using our facilities, or the club, or whatever, is they get a much lower payment than people coming outside. And so I guess we would like to see what we're charging these individuals.
Yeah, we can get that to you. There is a board policy.
It outlines that
Oh,
specifically.
okay.
So there is, excuse me, I'm sorry.
What board policy number, do you know that?
It's a J, I believe, and it outlines, I think there are at least 3, there might be 4 different service groups that can rent our facilities. So obviously, the first level is the internal groups that are using the buildings, and there's no charge, you're correct, on the 80%. So we do have some club sports, and we have club sports that are labeled Adams City, I'll use the wrestling club because it's the most obvious, but many of those students don't come from the Adams 14 school district, so they pay that outside rate. Yet, if it's the basketball club or the softball or baseball team, they're our students, so their rosters have to be made up of our students versus students who are going to another school. Then you have nonprofit organizations, you have profit organizations, so there's different tiers in your policy that exhibits out what those rates are by the building, by even the room. And then if it's custodial, there's the custodial charge, there's technology charge for the theater. So all of those things go into play.
So I would like to add, I'd like it by building, by school,
The revenue.
the revenue by school.
It's mostly the high school,
Okay,
obviously.
but I still would like to see it by
Yes.
school, so we can have an idea of, and that money goes in the general fund, is that correct?
We're putting it out into what's called the fee supported fund, so that the revenue matches with the expenses, and then we're charging the salary for staff that's covering these events to those
Okay.
locations. And it helps pay for the software program, which I think you approved at the last board meeting, that's the calendaring program. So we're trying to make that a self-supporting group from those fees, and not all clubs
Sure.
or activities are charged a fee.
And while you're up there, I'd also would like a line budget supplied to all the board by the next board meeting, please, by line on our
So-
budget.
You would like every account number?
Yes,
So we're happy to do that for each fund.
yes, the entire budget.
Okay, well, there's 7 different funds, so I just wanted to be
Mhm.
clear, okay?
Mr. Rolla, there's your policy. It's KFE.
Oh,
Oh,
what is,
thank you.
jeez, I
Sorry.
can't even see that far.
And also,
KFE.
Mr. Storts,
I can make you some.
as what Mr. Drillin was saying, that we all would like to see those amounts, But the most important thing is we want to know what are we getting to our students. Because last Tuesday, this time, I had the opportunity to go to the high school, and I was there present watching Commerce City Youth Authority football, and it was a packed house. And my question is, and if it's Commerce City, what did that program have to pay to use that gym if 99.9% of those students play football in Commerce City? What was they charged? How come they was charged? And we trying to figure out, as a board, are we giving back more we trying to get back more to our students? So it's more as a personal thing for us than asking you and your team to look for things, because we trying to figure out how can we better help our students, help our community more than what we doing sitting up on this diocese. And the next question would be, when we go through these, take tours of buildings, I don't see Mr. Weber here, and I'm not sure if he was supposed to be here, but I had the opportunity to walk through Central last week, and I was present for a graduation. In the gym, we didn't have enough seats, chairs, but what disturbed me most of being in there was, in the gym, those blinds are they not suitable for this district. So I'm trying to figure out, Ms. Ferreras? Yeah, Burgers, I'm very sorry. Since you sitting in for Dr. Abrego, I'd like for those blinds in the gym to be replaced as soon as possible. And that can come out, if I had the board's permission, that can come out to $180,000 that we set aside. And I know we're getting uniforms and things of that nature, what Mr. Timio suggested, but those blinds in that gym in Central needs to be replaced, as soon as possible. So I'm not sure how that can get done, how fast that can get done, or somebody reach out to the principal. But for me, as a board member, to see that, and there's more things in line that I have a list of that I'll give to Dr. Brego in his presence. But as he's not here, I'm actually coming to you to see if we can get that done as soon as possible, please. Yeah.
Relay your message to Dr. Brego on Monday morning,
Okay.
and he will be in contact with you
Ms.
regarding
Fergus,
the procedures and the request for the blinds to be replaced.
In the gym.
at our last meeting, we requested some type of plan for uniform replacement to be done, to give to us this tonight. Do you have that documentation?
I do not have that documentation, but I am aware that they did meet, and I believe there is some resolution to that. But I do not have that documentation.
I saw communication come through yesterday.
Yesterday or day before yesterday? It came through. 'Cause I got a copy of it.
I saw that we, 10,000 for the girls and the boys basketball teams for middle school, is that correct? But there was also supposed to be a schedule made for all the sports at the middle school and the high school level.
Yeah, and so yesterday there was communication sent from the athletic director. He's waiting on one more piece from, I believe it's Adams City Middle School. Their person in charge of athletics or whatever was out on emergency leave last week, so he
Okay.
wasn't able to compile all of it.
Can-
But we are working on it.
Can we have something by next meeting? Can you follow up on that?
Yeah, definitely.
I asked Mr. President Roller, could you put on the agenda to have the athletic director to come to the next board meeting so we can speak to him personally, face to face, please? Add that to the agenda.
Okay, you want to write that down? Okay, that, we need the athletic director here next week too.
Next meeting, right?
Next meeting. I'm here all the time, so I'm thinking. An update on the what?
On the uniforms.
Oh, an update, I know there was uniforms that were given to the middle school for basketball, girls' basketball,
Boys basketball.
boys, because I think, and girls starts in January, right? So we want to make sure that our young ladies have uniforms, and then I think the boys start wrestling in January, right? Middle schools?
Right.
So I want to make sure that we have singlets for those young men. So we can look like a team.
And President Rowe, that also includes the headgear for the wrestlers too, is that correct?
Headgear and the singlets, and I think that's all we need. And
Headgear for wrestling?
Yes.
Oh, the information I had was the helmets for football.
Right, the helmets for
Okay.
football.
Right, but we're talking about making sure that the wrestling teams for the middle schools have these singlets to wear, plus the new.
ear
new
pad, the ear
pad.
covers, yeah.
And can I speak to Mr. Nicholson, please?
Good evening.
Good evening, happy holidays, thank you. I want to say thank you for sending out that report. I asked you, I know it was a spur of the moment, but you sent out one last March, I believe between the 12th or the 18th, of a report of everybody that's getting contracts out of the district, but you had the line numbers, the dates and all, and how much they was getting. This report didn't have all that. He just sent me the names, and I didn't see no numbers or nothing to that effect, or dates, or who approved certain items for this company to get a contract with the district. Can we get a spreadsheet with that? I know they can take after the holidays, but can you get that to us?
Sure. The reason there was a difference is the first time, we didn't really know what you're looking for. And so it was trying to create a comprehensive list, really with the intent of getting, I think, to the point you're trying to make is who justified that contract, who recommended it. And we don't have a comprehensive system to extract that from. It's a very manual kind of pluck and pick from different places. Even the list that you were just recently provided was the same thing. Basically looking at a date range that fell within that range that you were looking for. There might be actually a few contracts in there that are one way or the other of the date that you had mentioned. So probably a couple different approaches to it. If there's something in particular that you want, we can easily provide an electronic copy of the contract so you can see the content of the scope of work, who made that recommendation, the term, the cost, that level of detail.
Not the scan of the whole contract, but March of March of this year, you provided the board the date, the number, the contract, who the contract was for, how much the contract, the date of the contract, all of, and it was on a spreadsheet, and it was given to us in March. Last week, you gave us just names, no dates, no numbers, no nothing. It was just names. So I was trying to get the exact spreadsheet that you forwarded us, just like you did the past one.
It won't be exact because again, it's really literally picking parts and pieces. We'll try to replicate that look and that kind of a detail then.
All right, thank you.
Monica?
I was gonna go get a copy of the policy.
Oh, my question was, what did Dr. Abrego want to have a study session in December? And what were the dates again, or does somebody have it on board?
Well, one of the study sessions is, the CAFR. The other one is UIP.
The one I got on the email was December. Which one was that? You remember?
CAFR and,
Both on the same day? And what days were
we
those?
only have one meeting in December.
What day was that? I thought he gave us 3 options, 3 dates that he said.
Burgess.
You're talking about, that'll be a work session with the board, and that's on the development, community development.
And what days were those, do you remember? That he wanted us to, he gave us 3 dates. Got it at home. send it on an email. We wanted, so the board couldn't. Did you get that to me?
Let's see.
Wednesday, November 30th, Thursday, December 1st, or Friday, December 2nd.
Okay, so we got to pick one of those dates to have a study. What is best for everybody?
December 2nd won't work for me.
It's a Friday? Is that an all-dayer, Monica, or do you know how long and what time?
Well, that would be up to the board.
Oh, okay. So what,
A minimum of a couple hours at least.
okay. So what's best for everybody? Wednesday or Thursday? Friday, no, Fridays.
The 30th, don't we have to come in Thursday, Wednesday next week anyway, probably?
Wednesday, what?
You probably have to come in anyway for a special meeting. next week.
Oh, okay. So we just want to do it that same time,
Yeah.
Wednesday?
That'll be-
Okay, so what time Wednesday do we want to have this? Remember, it's a couple hours, 5 o'clock, good for everybody?
Yeah, I'm good at 5.
5:30?
5:30?
Yeah.
5:30, fine, 5:30, 7:30? Okay, Monica, we'll go Wednesday, if you want to tell Mr. Abrego, Wednesday, 5:30 to 7:30 to meet with this. Yeah. Because we may have to have that special meeting. Okay, that's all I have. Anybody have anything else for communication?
I have one communication. It's just a question. I know Mr. Thompson isn't here, but where are we at with the uniforms for the middle schools? Anybody have an idea?
The only information I have is that they did meet. Gianni met with the superintendent as well as the athletic director, and they were aligning their resources. I believe that there's designated monies, but I don't want to misinform you. And so then I would appreciate if you would wait until the following board meeting where he can have the printout for you regarding the uniforms at each school,
Well-
unless someone else in the audience has that information.
The reason I asked the question is the basketball season they had no basketball games this week at all because of the break. And if we would have played our cards right, they would at least have their new uniforms for their Kearney versus Adams City Middle School basketball game that they have. And that was my goal.
Which is when?
Pardon me?
Which is when?
December 1st.
Yeah, I'm not sure that that's going to happen because I know we just received, do you want to kind of let them know?
The best person would be Mr. Thompson and the athletic director. There was an email going around where they're working on, what I've seen is a schedule, that replacement cycle of what's happened within the last couple of years and kind of what they're working on as far as the future plan.
But I believe that was a bid, for the middle school uniforms that came through.
No, they're actually, we placed an order today for some high school basketball, and I'm not 100% positive, but I think they're doing kind of a hand-me-down, like it goes to JV and then C team. But I believe that's probably just at the high school level. I don't know what their plan is for the middle school.
We
He's waiting for
directed,
a price.
we directed that all new uniforms are issued to the middle school, is what our directive was last board meeting.
A, B, and C teams.
Yeah, again, Mr. Thompson would be the one to have that conversation with, I think.
Because
since
the
he's really
basketball
in charge.
season's over after probably next week.
Oh, I understand.
If I wanted to wait till next year, I'd have
They
brought
don't
it
have a
up in
tournament this
January. I don't know.
If I remember, part of the email string is, and I think Monica was referring to this earlier, is that they're waiting for some pricing on some uniforms. I don't know which ones they were for sure. I think those were for a middle school sport, but I couldn't tell you which one it is for sure. Again, that communication really is with Mr. Thompson and Mr. Ladow. And the reason they're keeping us informed in purchasing is because we're trying to support that need. So, for example, the high school basketball uniforms, they're out, but, we're here, and so we're trying to help support getting that order in on their behalf while they're out, kind of push through the approval process in their absence, and so we were able to accomplish that piece today.
Okay, but that's not the piece we're asking about.
Again, Mr. Thompson would be your best source.
I
I'm sorry.
understand that, but that was 2 weeks ago, and it should have been already done.
They would be the lead on that. I
And
would
that's what
support it as best I can.
I think I can speak for the board. That's what we expect
Sure.
when we give a directive, that it gets done immediately, not when they want to do it.
No, I understand. I don't oversee him. I'm sorry.
I know. I'm just saying that for the record.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Does that help?
So then what we gotta make sure is that, okay, we kind of fumbled the ball, kind of look like the Broncos there, but we fumbled the ball. Let's don't fumble it for the girls. So when we go to the girls, and it's not you, okay?
I know.
just
We'll
once again,
help
like Joe
support him
said,
as best we can.
make sure that it's said publicly, is that we get these for the girls, that they're ready to go when they come back in January for basketball, and the wrestling teams be ready to go, so.
I get a sensation from the part of the email thread that I've been a part of that they're doing some planning, but obviously it's not probably at the speed of light that you're looking for. But again, if we can get those right people into the room, I think, we can better address that.
I'll have a conversation with Mr. Gianni because I gave him a number of a vendor that's approved by these people here that could have had him done by last Wednesday. Everything that he needed, that he asked me to do, I made sure it happened. And he about guaranteed me it was going to happen, so I'll just have a conversation with him.
Okay,
I was there for that conversation.
all right. We'll do our part to try to make sure, everything stays in compliance with board policy. That's the other element of it that sometimes creates some stumbling blocks, but that hasn't been the case to this point.
What we're trying to achieve here, we're all for the kids here, and we
Sure.
want our kids to be proud. And we're not going to be the stumbling block for these kids. And what we expect the other departments to do is to cooperate. And I know that's our problem and Dr. Briggle's problem, but it will be done.
Sure. I would agree with that. We just can't break board policy or laws.
I understand that on both sides.
And that's our rule book, in sports reference.
Does anybody know where the game's being played at?
Probably at the high school, I would
I
guess.
hope it's at the high school.
usually
I
at
don't
high
think
school.
our middle schools are big enough to accommodate when the rivalry game comes. So can we check on that? Can somebody get back to us and let us know where that game is? Should be played at the high school. For two reasons. One's to accommodate the community that's gonna be there. And two, it's time that these high school coaches started getting involved in these middle schools and see what they have coming back. I remember as a young man playing the football game, the Kearney Adams City game was always played under the lights, and they had the high school coaches there. And I don't know, some of you aren't old enough to know Bill Dannenhauer. Bill Dannenhauer was a tackle that blocked for Johnny Unitas. And then he came to the Broncos, and I think he blocked here for Topeka. But anyway, he was a coach, and he came and he greeted all the kids after the ball game to the middle school and welcomed them to the high school. I think we need that a little bit more visible from our high school coaches at these middle schools. And they're excused why we can't get to both of them. Well, now they'll be right at the high school and they could be there. So if we can just make sure that hopefully we can get that game there. And I guess the other thing, communication hearing, is that we have to make sure that when we give directive that we hear back right away, so we don't have to come out here and find out what's going on and this. And then when we have our work study next Wednesday, we hope to have everybody here, because it's just can't be five minds making decisions on this. We need everybody. My understanding is that we have hired the best of the best of the best. And if we've done that, then you're the ones that are going to lead us and let us know what we should do. Is that what you want, Mr. Tom? Okay, is there anything else that we want?
I'd also like to invite whoever's in charge of facility maintenance to our next meeting, as well as the food nutrition services to attend our meeting.
Just to attend,
Yeah, I have some questions for both of them.
so December 13th meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
And who's in charge of that now? I know.
Who's in charge? Can you tell me who's?
Mr. Abrego or Dr. Abrego or Gianni?
I think Gianni's in charge of some of it.
Okay, well, he should be here at these meetings. All right, anything else? My last directive is don't eat too much Thursday. And don't sit on that couch watching. I think there's 3 ball games Thursday night. Thursday all day long. That's the longest day that we watch football. Hopefully we all come back next Monday and we're still wearing our same clothes. So, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? This is the fastest one we've had, so, roll call, Monica?
Mr. Archuleta?
Aye.
Mr. Bradley?
Aye.
Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned, and happy Thanksgiving.
These are just some of the highlights of the Board of Education meeting. The board meets at 6:30 p.m. on the second and fourth Tuesday of every month, and we hope to see you at a future meeting.